Welcome, everyone, to Recruiting Wednesday here on Westmoreland Sports Network. Jack Ridenour here today, and on today's feature of Recruiting Wednesday, we're adding a new piece to the story with the addition of the full visual interview that will be part of the written article as well. So a little opportunity for you all to have two pieces of content to enjoy every Wednesday. And on today's edition, we are joined by Greater Latrobe softball player and recent Pitt-Johnstown commit, Jenna Tallman. Jenna, great to have you with us today. How's it going?
Good. How about yourself?
Really good. Very, very good. Trying to brace for the cold, if you will. I know the winter months are upon us, so I'm sure as a spring sport player like yourself, you're not too fond of the winter. I'm not fond of the winter, so trying to brace myself for that one. But I want to first congratulate you on a huge milestone, very exciting stuff in your career, committing to Pitt-Johnstown. I kind of want to start with, why did you decide on Pitt-Johnstown? What was it that kind of drew you into continuing your softball career there?
So actually, I had no idea where I wanted to go this upcoming my junior year. I was thinking about different colleges, and then I got an email from Pitt-Johnstown, and I was like, I knew about this when I was younger. I have a couple people that I know that went to Latrobe that are now going to Pitt-Johnstown. So I was like, I would definitely go on a visit and see how I like it. And I went, and it was perfect and exactly what I wanted, a smaller school, perfect distance. I wanted to stay closer to home. It's about 45 minutes. So it just met pretty much everything that I wanted in a school.
Well, that's great. I think that's important that you were also able to find it pretty, I would say, relatively early on in the decision-making process. And we'll get into the decision-making process, the recruiting process I'm sure you had to go through during COVID. I do want to ask before we get into the nitty-gritty, do you have any plans on what you'll be majoring in there at Pitt-Johnstown?
So right now I'm under environmental science, but it's always subject to change.
Very nice. Yeah, you've got a lot of time. Listen, I know a lot of friends, I know a lot of people that it took them a couple years to figure out what they truly wanted to do. But a little thing that I found out about you is that you come from a family of flying, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And so I do want to ask a little bit about that because I know your sister, who we will discuss in a little bit as well, and you are big flyers. So I want to ask, have you thought about maybe being a pilot at any point in your life?
I definitely did, but I took a couple flying lessons and I really, really liked it. However, I decided it's not what I want to do when I'm older. My dad was away from home when I was younger a lot. He's gone for a week, comes home from a week. And I just know when I'm older, I wouldn't want to work that schedule. Like I'd want to work Monday through Friday and then be home on the weekends with my family. So I decided on pretty early that that's not what I wanted to do.
Well, I think it's great that you decided that early, but it's still kind of a cool thing that you get to be able to do. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there that can fly a plane, and it sounds like you can fly a plane. So that's got to be a really cool, I'm sure it's a big conversation starter, if you will, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool. Very, very cool. Well, let's get into a little bit of your career, obviously, and we're going to start first with the pandemic. And I'm sure having your season canceled a couple years ago because of COVID and whatnot, and then having to obviously deal with the recruiting process in the midst of that, probably very challenging. So how hard was it for you to go through that recruiting process and then also having to deal with COVID?
Well, it was definitely hard my sophomore year. I was really excited. I got to play with my sister again after Little League when I was 10 when I first started. And I was pretty upset about that. However, I knew I had the next year with her again, her senior year. And then as far as recruiting, it was hard because my sister got committed or got at least phone calls on September 1st. They knew her and just everyone in the class above her, same thing. They got either called or committed on September 1st. So I didn't receive any calls on September 1st. So I was kind of starting to panic and I started getting stressed out. But I just knew I needed to stay patient and then everything would work itself out.
Well, very smart on you to stay patient because patience is a virtue. And I have found that the people that are the most patient get rewarded the most in the end. And you clearly did, being able to find where you're going to be playing softball next year. But I also want to ask, and I know how big travel softball is in Westmoreland County. Did travel softball have any impact on your recruiting? And if it did, what kind of impact did it have in allowing coaches to see you play, even though things kind of a little wishy-washy with the pandemic over the last couple of years?
Oh, for sure. It was definitely more travel. I actually went to New Jersey, and I believe that's where Pitt-Johnstown saw me. So, traveling out there, I got exposed to a school in North Carolina or South Carolina, there's just so much more exposure with travel and getting to know these different colleges.
Travel sports are, I think, a huge, huge part of recruiting. I mean, I was an athlete many, many moons ago, and I was on travel teams, and it, I think, greatly helped me get exposure. And it's a proven science. I mean, hey, there's a lot of people out there that get more exposure on the travel circuit than in their high school. So I think it's a great thing for athletes to have another outlet, another way for people and coaches to see them play. Now, getting into last year, a very special one for you, but also you and your sister. It was the last year that you and your sister played together. How special was that, being able to play with her on that final senior year? Like you said, didn't really have a whole lot of time before you guys got to high school, unless it was Little League, to play with her. So how special was it for you to play alongside your sister for her final year of high school last year?
It was amazing too. Bittersweet knowing that she would be going to college next year, and her senior night, I bawled like a baby. However, she did get hurt at pretty much the end of our season, but then she was able to come back for our playoff game. But the playoff game, the end was pretty hard. I've never seen her cry that often, and we were both a little upset. So,
well, I think it's nice that, although it's obviously not the outcome that you all wanted, she got to be with you, right? And you got to be with her, and you got to experience that and go through her final season with her. And another little fun tidbit is that you actually caught your sister's 18 strikeout no-hitter against Connellsville. I'm sure that had to have been a very special moment for you and your sister. Talk me through that moment. Talk me through that game. And then also, just what were those, I would say, following seconds after that last out was made? What were those next couple seconds like for you and your sister? And just what was that moment like, that whole game?
For sure. It's funny because I absolutely hate catching, but I was glad I was able to do it for my sister, and we have some sort of little sister connection. I would give her a pitch sign, and she was like, that's exactly what I'd want you to throw. So that was cool, little sister moment. That game was very, very heated. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but it was a pretty close game, and we had won by maybe just a couple runs or maybe even one run.
Well, a very special moment, and exciting, I'm sure. I mean, what was the next couple days like for you and your sister? Were you guys constantly talking about it, or were you kind of moving on to the next game after that?
Yeah, I mean, we took a couple of days to talk about things, but we were like, we need to get after the next game together.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. And thinking ahead, thinking down the road a little bit. And I'm sure she's also given you so much advice, just not only in softball, but life, college, now that it's her first year in college. What was some advice that she shared with you before she left for college?
For high school, she said, don't procrastinate. She knows that she does, and she knows that I do. So to make sure you're getting your work done early. As far as softball, she is the most stone-faced person, and I am not. You can see every emotion on my face. So she just told me that when I'm playing, I need to be relaxed, and I need to keep my emotions in and not let any competitor see that.
Now, talk a little bit about the dynamic between you and your older sister just growing up and playing together. Did it really help you out a lot, being able to play with somebody that was very close in age with you, and then kind of also allowing you to play up in competition a little bit and playing up in age? I mean, what was that kind of dynamic with you two growing up and then also getting into high school, and how much did she push you to be a better player?
For sure. When we were younger, much younger, we had always gone along. We've maybe had one serious fight in our lives. So being that close in age, I think it really helps our relationship. It's a really strong relationship for sisters. And as far as, what was your last question?
Oh, general, or just having, what was it like having, I guess, or how much has it helped you in your softball career, having somebody that is pretty close in age with you to, kind of compete with, and almost, I don't want to say, compare yourself to her, but for sure, being able to go side by side with somebody that's, living with you, somebody that's a family member.
Yeah. So last season it was back and forth with home runs, and we would try to compete with each other because we had similar home runs at the beginning of the season. And then just growing up, we would go hitting together. I would catch her all the time. So that dynamic was cool.
Now, I did hear that you had not caught a lot prior to that no-hitter. So I'm sure that was a very new experience for you also. I mean, did you fall in love with the position after that, or are you done with the catching days and you want to play different positions?
So done. So done.
So done. Yeah, I have a lot of friends that played catcher, and they all swear that to this day, the reason why they have bad knees is because of catching, which
Yeah.
I definitely do believe them on that. I mean, crouching down for inning after inning after inning, a couple innings might be a little too long, a little too short. Definitely takes a wear and tear on your lower body. So I completely understand that one on you. Now, going into this year, obviously, your senior year, your final year in high school, what have you been focusing on personally to help you be an important piece and continue to be an important piece for your team in this season?
So my major thing is hitting. I need to focus on that and also being a leader this year. I know in previous years we've had some trouble with, typical girl drama and just being a leader for people. There's only 3 seniors and we get along very well, I would say. So just stepping out of that box and trying to see what the girls want, how they need to be led this year.
Are you a leader that's more vocal, or would you say you lead more by example?
Probably vocal, but I would definitely like to lead by example.
Having a nice blend, I have found, is where people really can be the most receptive, I think, being able to have a little bit of both. And then what are also some areas of improvement that you're looking to see from your team when the season does start?
In previous years, we've kind of struggled with hitting. We've always been really strong pitching and just average defense, like pretty good at defense. The hitting has been where we've lacked. We're losing games pretty close, like 2-0, 1-0, those types of games. So if we have that hitting, there's no doubt we're winning the game.
Well, really excited for the season. Again, another big congratulations to you. And before I let you go, one final question. In your opinion, what will it take for you and your team to capture a WPIAL championship this season?
It's going to take teamwork, hard work. Like I said, again, the hitting needs to come through. We all just need to be there for each other.
Well, very excited. Like I said, it's going to be a big year for you. And again, another huge congratulations. Very exciting for you. And I'm sure your sister, what were some words that your sister shared with you before we let you run? Did she say anything to you when you punched your ticket to Pitt-Johnstown?
Oh, she was so excited. She made me FaceTime her while I was signing my NLI.
Wow, very cool, very cool, very special sister bond. So thank you again, Jenna. But folks, as always, appreciate you all joining us today on Recruiting Wednesday. Jack Ridenour signing off from Westmoreland Sports Network.